Oh. Here we are. Here we are. Okay, no, that's not what I wanted. Oh. Hmm. Okay. That's how you pan. And then you zoom like that. Okay. I can maybe do that. That might work. That might work. There, let's see. So where should we start? We need to figure out the legs. Did I not find like a single good reference for legs? I kind of don't think that there's like a good way to do legs. Legs are almost always kind of... almost better being nondescript. Let's remove this for now. I don't really like it. Let's just get the shape down of the leg. This is the knee right here. And that's where I feel like the armor needs to be bigger. A little bit. Because it's armor, right? Needs to have cheeks. Right? Now, I kind of like these arm flaps, but I think I'm gonna see if we're gonna redo that. I'm not sure. I feel like they need to have arm armor more than anything else. Mainly for like visual reasons. And I kind of feel like this might be too much. We'll see. So there are plenty of things that I want to try differently. Not sure where to start. The issue is this armor piece. It kind of doesn't necessarily naturally extend down, I feel like. Hello, Charles. One second. Let's look. Yeah, the upper arm is another one of those things that's like... it's usually hidden, or it's just like fabric or something. I'm just trying to think of what would make sense. What kind of shape language do we want here? For it to fit with the rest of the builders. I don't know how I feel about this symbol. Thinking we should maybe change it? I want that symbol somewhere, but I'm not sure where. I think the arm should be like mostly black. Here. Like on this side or something. But I don't want it to just be like that. I would like it to actually have some form. It's very easy to just make some bullshit like, oh, yep, he just got some random thing there. But I would like it to actually be like armor piece. Maybe. Not sure. Because I meant to like slap fabric on him, and that's going to hide a lot of it. But I do think that patterns are also fucked. Like, what the hell do you do for a pattern? Like, what is the difference between a pattern and random shapes? Or like gilding. Like the difference is extremely minor. Do something like that, perhaps. I don't know if I can really do this in a good way. Using pixel art, but I might be. I like this. This is something I like a lot. Having like knuckle guards like that. Where's my pen? I'm using the mouse. It's terrible. And it's something like that. This would need to have 2 bands of gold. And then we put the black separation here. There. Hello, Red. How's it going? I'm doing all right. How the fuck would this look? I think this looks... I think this is wrong. Just straight up wrong. There would just be less of this. I imagine. And... this would be almost turned the other way. Whereas for the most part here, you would see, like... maybe even see it a little bit up here. There. Maybe a little bit here, not sure. I don't know. Not my strong suit. Anatomy is fucked. And also this forearm is crazy. This shape here is completely fucked in the ass. But now I'm just worried that it's gonna end up too medieval, but we'll see. I think maybe this thin band is a bit too thin, because it just feels like bracer or something. Which it like technically is, but you know. But what is wrong with the arm? I don't know. I think like the angle and everything. Yeah, it's because it's like instead of holding it like this, he's holding it like this or something. It's silly. It's the entire underarm that's fucky. Because it's just like going straight down, when in reality it's should be going like outish, kinda. I'm gonna new layer this. Because it's gonna be something more like this, right? Where you're gonna have the arm coming up behind. More like, I think. And then he grabs it. I actually don't know. How would you... It would be in shoulder height, roughly. Mirror is not large enough. It was closer. This was honestly closer. Pretty much everything I did there fucked it up. I mean, it's still fucked, but it was less fucked. I just don't know. The issue is it just the thickness of the arm? Is that it? It's the shape too, I think. There. I really don't know what to do with like the legs. But let's try messing with the helmet for a bit. I want to get rid of this. I want to... That's something I wanted to experiment with for a while. But then the question is, how do you deal with the bald? What do we do with the bald head? Because what they should have is a feather, right? And that feather should have like a... slot. And that was something I wanted to try using to jousting helmetify it a bit. I don't know if that looks about right. But again, then we run into the issue of bald head, right? And how do we address that? And the question is also, is too small? Maybe this needs to be bigger. Well, I just don't want to end up with like a skull feeling. That's my main concern here. I'm just trying to think of if I can think of a way to make this feel like it's kind of retractable somehow. Maybe not retractable. Because it's very difficult to. I feel like it's very difficult to add things. Especially when it comes to like making it feel more like it's tech, because it's like I'm trying to make it feel a little bit like a knight, but not like a knight. But when you pull it away from a knight and you try to make it more like tech based, so that you have like servos and stuff like that, it starts feeling like a BMX armor, like he's got a mountain bike or something, like a rod extending behind the ears for it to slide along. Yeah, like it can like retract up, or it can retract to the sides, or it can retract down, like something. I wanted to kind of make it feel like, because so far we've been going for like full armor, but I was thinking of going for something more like Crisis, where you have like an exosuit that's armored, more than it being just fully enclosed like Iron Man armor, right? That's kind of what I'm trying to change it to, but right now I feel like the arms are too medieval, potentially. Not sure. Because I want it to be like a paladin, kind of. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for. To some degree. And then I wanted to try something like, because he needs to have a cloak. Now, unfortunately, I think I might need to switch which arm he has the staff in here, because I wanted him to have like a cloak that goes something like this. And like covers half of him and goes something like that. I'm not sure exactly how, but I want it to cover his side there, then it goes behind, and then it goes up and it like attaches to back here. Right, so it goes from here around, across. And if we just remove this for the time being, just for the sake of it. Make it bulky. Maybe it won't drape down as much here. Rather it like goes up here. And the cloak is black. On the inside. Or maybe it would go all the way over here. Maybe it goes like over here and then it hangs like straight down here. Or less. And then we do the opposite here where we try to put it in there. Something like that. But you see, like, I don't feel like this fits very well with the armor. Maybe we can have like some white trim on the cloak or something. I'm not sure. Could be black up here too. Like you can see the inside here. And the black is meant to kind of sparkle. Which is gonna look like ass, because I'm just gonna use the spray here. Spray looks like ass. Right? Then I also kind of wanted it to be like I wanted him to have like a piece of cloth here that kind of doubles. You know, not like it's not exactly a sash, but like I'm not sure if this will make any sense. Without just looking like a skirt. I'm not so sure that'll work in any way. Could maybe somehow. But he should probably have more fabric in general. And that's where things become kind of difficult, because then it's like, okay, so he's just like a big guy with clothes on him, you know? Like that's where we're gonna end up. Like if I put some kind of like tabard on him or whatever. And now he's got an apron. And then he needs some kind of belt. To tie it together. It's gonna be tough. Because they wear fabrics. That's the thing. So what should the fabrics be like? Carlos had done something like he had stuff like this hanging, which wasn't bad. It was pretty decent actually. But it doesn't really work that well with my hanging cloak idea here. And the feather idea, I feel like it's kind of hard. And I would have to bounce that against Kyle. Like, what exactly does he want? Because this isn't really a feather. Like, this is kind of different. This is just a like a ponytail, and that's it. And that's different from having this. Maybe they should have both. Both could be cool. I'm not sure. That might be too much. I also like. There are certain designs I like a lot. Like I like the way Yaldabaoth looks. But it's way too, like, that's way too over the top. He's got long hair. This is not what we're going for. But I always liked the hair. I think it's kind of harder to make it look good without something like that. Like most, if you look at Japanese robots, most of them are doing something to solve the bald issue, I think. Like, they have the ridge on top of the head. That's, I would say, in large to fix the bald issue. Because you can see, like, they all do it. They all have some kind of ridge or something on the top of the head. They've got color. Make it look like a cap. Make it look like literally anything other than just a smooth bald head, right? And it makes a lot of sense. Like they all have something. Pretty much. Again, Super Robot Wars isn't exactly what I'm looking for, but it was just an example. And this doesn't exactly work right now, but everything like this relies on all of the details lining up, which is why it's so difficult. And like just something like this goes a long way, I think. I don't think that's enough, but you could kind of solve it with something like that. But that's the path labor approach as well, more or less. I do think that the helmet should be like, it should be able to open up one way or another. The question is, how? If we do it like this, then it could be segmented like this. But it wouldn't need to be visible, you know, like, how do I put this? I have a little board here. Let me see if there's an example what I'm talking about. I didn't have anything great here. But yeah, you could just have like seams. Because it can be very fine. Maybe just look at this one. This one is terrible. Don't vomit when you look at it. I was just downloading references from ArtStation for various things. So this is an AI angel version of Iron Man. I only saved it because it has this stuff. And this is what I mean, right? Like, generally speaking, stuff like this is kind of retarded. Because it's literally just there to make it look more techy, right? But you could do the same thing here. Like, you could just have very fine seams where it's connected to something, you know, some kind of servo or something like that. Not something I thought about before, but not. Now I'm kind of imagining a plate towards the front, like a Triceratops, but it's to protect cables connected to the frontal lobe. To protect cables that connect to the brain in various places. I mean, it depends on what it is, right? Like, these are just guys in power suits, more or less. Power armor. But yeah, like, if it's a big robot, then would make sense. But yeah, so we just do something like that, maybe. This is something I love doing in pixel art, just implied lines. I think it usually works pretty well. You know, just do something like that. Oh yeah, I meant to have this up. Because it's not that enjoyable to see me zoom around the whole time. I was kind of thinking maybe it should have like a breastplate, and then in front it's got fabric coming down from the breastplate, so you don't really see a lot of the other stuff necessarily. Power went out? Oh. Are you living in your little cook shed now? I do have a cook shed, I just keep the lawnmower out there. Okay. I don't know if I like this. This. Paid the bill 5 days ago. Weather is perfectly fine. I don't know why there's an outage. Maybe there was an explosion. Just to ask, is the armor for more of a ceremonial piece of armor, or is it for combat armor? It's mostly ceremonial. I'm not really, like, concept art isn't really my what I do, generally speaking, so I'm not like that experienced doing this, and on top of that, especially not with like sci-fi armor. We will give it a go. They're supposed to have. They're supposed to be fabrics. I want to try adding some fabric to it and see if we can somehow combine that with armor pieces and like the cloak without it just feeling like a like a Temple Knight or something. Cables and connections need to be accessible for maintenance or replacement. Well, I don't know if there's going to be that much in regards to that. I think that's absent from Iron Man. Well, yeah, it's because it's... I mean, Iron Man's suit literally opens everywhere. Like, it literally is just completely modular. Right now, I'm kind of operating more on the idea of it being like a soft power suit, like an exo suit with armor pieces attached. That's my current working philosophy, more or less. And the armor is mostly ceremonious here. But I wanted to, like, I like the, like, slightly medieval inspiration, but I don't want it to feel medieval, right? I want it to feel like it comes from a high technology, or a highly technologically advanced society, right? There are certain things that definitely make it feel like a certain thing, right? Huh? What do you mean drop pixels here? Just trying to get rid of some garbage here in the selection. Maybe the cloak should be like... it just wraps in a circle. It could work, like, maybe it being attached over here is too much. Because it could still be attached, like, over here, I think. Kind of like this, and then it just drapes. It goes down here instead, straight, and then it goes around. I think I've seen this before. Right, so you have it going down here. Because otherwise it covers the entire design, right? And then so it attaches from here to back here. And that way you'll have it hanging down like it was before here. Something like that. But the important part is to keep going, because the issue is... It's the same thing, like designing characters is the same thing as designing like video games or whatever. It looks like shit until it's like done. Almost. Now, in reality, do I start coloring it? Just to get like a better feel, I guess. Because everything that's gray should be white. Had this raw video games idea after playing idle and incremental games. Okay. I have to plug up every single pixel. And here it's a little bit misleading, because he's actually like... I don't know how thick or thin he should be here, but... They like to add prestige, so you get bonuses that make number go up faster, but you start over. Can I think about applying that to a Metroidvania? That's, I mean... That's kind of how games like Hades or whatever work. Like, it's not exactly... it's not exactly the same. But it's kind of the same in like a smaller scale of reset. Sort of makes me think of Majora's Mask. Resetting the game. Yeah, maybe. I actually didn't play Majora's Mask. Hello, Polly. For an armor that supports itself, it's probably more realistic to have a bit more spinal support, so making it thick there would at least make sense. Right now I'm not working on the idea that it's like an armor. Right now I'm mostly operating on the idea that it's a soft suit that has armor on it. It's a construct? No, it's a person with an armor. Kind of like a crisis armor or something is what I'm going for now. Crisis armor with armor on it. more or less. Not really sure what to do about these bits here. Having this color instead of the black will make it a lot easier to not lose all of my outlines. Maybe we make that gold. No. In that case, I think you definitely have it about right. An elite group would probably have a very defined waist. Probably. But the issue here is I need to add fabric. I'm not sure exactly in what manner I want to add the fabric. Like, I don't know, like a full, like this is basically just a tunic. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe like would a tabard be make sense like this kind of? But a tabard is a very temple knight as well, so I'm not a huge fan of that. And this here would be it needs to be like slightly further to the right still, so that we can see the center of the armor. Because I want to do something there. I'm not sure what though, but I want to do something. Like putting a gem or something in the middle is pretty standard. Like everybody does that, which also means that it's kind of. I kind of like it. Like, I don't think it's lame, but it's also, like, not lame. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's just what you do. Right. But I was thinking of doing something. Yeah, like he does need to have more fabric, because having the cloak there, it's like either you go full knight or he looks kind of like half naked. Right? Like that's the issue. So need to try adding something. And he does need to be ornate. But I wanted to try some kind of symbols here. I was thinking of having 3 circles. Something. I want to have 3 circles. Maybe he doesn't need that. Because the staff is going to hold the banner. But I do still want to have some symbols on the armor. I like the... I think Kibs might vomit if he sees a lot of that, but I like flowers and stuff in the way they did it in medieval, like when they made it like super flowery. I think that's kind of cool because it's one of those things like. There are things that are kind of like, this is goofy and lame, and that's why it's cool. And it's kind of like that. But I don't feel like it's actually goofy and lame in a way, but at the same time it kind of is, you know? Because it's just not something that you'd expect for modern designs, right? But you see, it's kind of what I've been trying to do here on armor. It has like plant motifs. That's the idea there. And I wanted to do more on the gauntlet, perhaps. But I'm not sure. So what do we do about the bald issue? How do we unbald him? It doesn't necessarily take much. Like, it just needs to have like a detail there. Does this character belong to a specific house? I don't know what I want to say. Well, yeah, this is the builders. So this is the sci-fi stuff. I don't really know what I don't really know what else I can say other than that. No, it's not like super secret. I'm just not sure exactly what Gibbs might want me to not say. Yeah, I don't know either. I think the cut shouldn't be perfectly flat down there though, but yeah, I think this doesn't quite work, to be honest. Could, but now the arm here is making things weird, because I'm not really sure. Is it? this is an issue with just working on it, because I feel like the staff should be on the right side. No, the staff should be on the left side, but the cloak should be on the right side. Maybe. And... but if I do that, that'll cover the entire fucking design and you won't be able to see anything. So it is what it is. Could try a gold trim at the top of the visor. Yeah, I think so. But like this, the belt makes it feel like a Temple Knight or something. I don't like that. Is it the cross? But yes, I do think that would maybe work. Maybe. Unless it makes him feel like Pocahontas. You know, the fact that it's like a circlet now with a feather. I think maybe it should be something more elaborate. But doing something like that might just feel like eyebrows. Might not work either. Maybe. Maybe something that feels a little bit like a crown or something. Now that's a Wukong crown. No, I don't really think I want trimming there. The idea here... Okay, so I kind of want it to be like this, right? Like it's not black. It's more like this. That was the idea there, that it's kind of like function that is hidden. And this here, I'm not so sure about what I think. Like this could be attached like that. And it could be the same there. But that's kind of part of it. Maybe not. Because it was like, the idea was that this is like these are sections that can like extend, so that in order for it to open, it can kind of extend out, and then they can kind of fold together downwards. It wouldn't really make sense either, but I wanted to try something like this. I feel like this is a little drastic, but this song slaps. Do you recognize it? I was surprised if you didn't recognize this one. Are these synthwave remixes of existing songs? Yes. Fantasy 4 right now. Just some AI nonsense. Maybe it should be the other way around. That's like one approach. Alright, Red. Thanks for dropping by. I'm just not sure how I'm vibing with this. I'm thinking maybe this pattern would be better in over here. But it's also like, it also matters a lot, just like small things, right? Like, if we add like some lines here in the fabric, it's going to change the feel of it quite a lot. You can add extra like straps and shit. Put stuff here like around the hem. I like the way you did that pattern. Well, this. Yeah, I'm literally just drawing like two little plant bits and zigzagging them, unless you meant this. And then you can do something like this. And you can put random things here. No, just stuff like that. Because it's like the details matter a lot, right? So like having some bullshit here, let's say, like, I'm just gonna use what I'm looking at. I'm a little concerned about using things I'm looking at a little too much though, but like, this guy made something like this. Right, and then fill this in. Like now that changes it a lot. Hot take, Final Fantasy IV is only cool until you become a paladin or in the game. Hot take, Final Fantasy IV fucking sucks ass. We're one of the worst Final Fantasy games. Fuck, it's so dog shit. Like, it's this kind of game that it's only cool because of the vibes, and it's only good because like you remember the good vibes. But every single time I go to play it, I'm like, this game fucking sucks, fucking ass. Because like there's not a single part of the game that isn't like annoying and shit. Like, oh, I have to go through this fucking cave. Every single door is a monster. It's the same monster every single time, and it's just gonna like one-shot my guys because it's a fucking door. Like, I don't know. I don't like. I like Final Fantasy 1. I like Final Fantasy 5, kind of. I like it, like it's. I think 5 is a very cool game because it has like all the classes and stuff. Like you have that already in 3, but I think 3 is crap. Like I like the NES games are not my favorite. But otherwise for me it starts at like 6. Like I thought 4 was cool as well when I played it. Like I played 6 first. It was my first Final Fantasy. And honestly, the quality of Final Fantasy VI is so like staggeringly much higher than 5 and 4 that it was kind of hard to go back, but I still kind of enjoyed 4, kind of. Back in the day, the ROM that we used to play it was bugged for years, so it took me like 5 years before I finally managed to beat the game, because you couldn't go past the tower down with the dwarves. Like it was bugged. You could not continue playing the game, and me and my cousins only had that one ROM there, so we couldn't. It didn't know. But like 5 was always cool because you can like make your own characters and select jobs and stuff, you know. That's all of that's pretty badass. But like at the end of the day, the story, like, see, I just can't actually like take Final Fantasy seriously anymore, because it's a game series that entirely lives and dies on the vibes, and it has really good vibes. Like, I can play Final Fantasy VI again like right now and enjoy it, even though I think the game is ass, because that's all it has. It's got really good vibes, but you just pick Sabin and then you do like Fire Dance for 95% of the game, or you use Edgar and you use Crossbow for 90% of the game. And there's like they added a bunch of cool things to it, and all it did was like make the game worse in reality, because you have like there's like nothing to the gameplay or anything, and like the story isn't particularly good in any of the games really, because it's like you walk between some towns and stuff kind of happens. I don't know. So I just have issue actually talking about them like they're real games anymore. But like Final Fantasy V has some bits of the story where it's like actual story, like the whole, like the bits with Galuf and whatever the girl's name is. I think that's like a neat part, but that's kind of how you have to appreciate the story in those games. It's like, this one part was neat, and then you just kind of live on that. I've only finished 6 one time. I think I finished 6 like... Okay, I actually haven't finished it that many times. Maybe like 3, 4. But I played it literally like 40 times. Probably. All right, let's reverse this. Let's try a couple of things here. Let's draw the same thing over here. The purple. But I do think 6 is the best Final Fantasy game, I'll be honest. Actually, I think 14 is the best Final Fantasy game. In regards to like actual story quality. But otherwise, I do think 6 is the best one. I think 7 is trash. Like, the story in 7 is so stupid and bad. It barely makes any sense. It doesn't help that the translation is horrendously bad. The translation is so bad that you can tell that it's bad by just playing it in English without knowing Japanese at all. It's so bad. Because the English doesn't make sense. It's like, what are they even talking about? Can't consider an MMO a mainline entry? Yeah, like not really, but the reality is it's also not an MMO. Like it is, but it kind of isn't. Like Final Fantasy XI is different, I would say, because that's more of an actual MMO. While Final Fantasy XIV is like, it's just a single player game. Like, but the issue is that it never ends, right? Like it still hasn't ended, so with Shadowbringers, I definitely thought it was like the best single player Final Fantasy game. But after Shadowbringers, I think it's ruined. So then it's kind of like, okay, now what's the point? I think 8. I actually kind of appreciate 6, 7, 8, and 9 in a lot of ways, because I feel like they're like, the way I see them is they're kind of like different mediums in a way. It's like 6 is kind of like a mix between like classic Final Fantasy, like video game storytelling, which is kind of bad because it's very basic. It kind of just like skims over things. The dialogue is usually like 3 dialogue boxes and then you're kind of done with the segment, right? And it kind of mixes that with the same kind of vibes as like Baldur's Gate or something, you know, like just old school, like Tolkien-esque, not exactly Tolkien-esque, but like kind of, you know. Well, 7 is a comic book, and it's got like comic book vibes. And then Final Fantasy VIII is more like a novel. It feels more like you're reading something that's more grown up. It's a novel in mood and feeling. Like you have these like kind of realistic towns. They're just driving around in like buses and shit, and it just feels like it's trying to be more grown up. And then you have 9, and then it goes back to now it's being like a fairy tale kind of, or like a story. And I think that they're all kind of cool. In that respect. 5 is my favorite so far. 6 is definitely my favorite, but I think 5 is a pretty strong contender. Well, Final Fantasy XIV is probably my favorite, but yeah. Man, okay, what do we do here? Does he have sleeves? Does he have fucking sleeves? I don't think I want to give him sleeves. I think I want it to be kind of like this or something, like... Though I'm not a huge fan of that. Because then it feels like a wife beater. And wife beaters are gross. Like... Wife beaters are kind of disgusting. I don't like that you can see like someone's armpit underneath there. But this might be call for a detail like this, right? To hide it. So you can kind of hide the transition here with some bullshit. Nine is the most quirky, but I think it's terribly balanced. I mean, none of them are well balanced at all. No, like not even a little bit. Final Fantasy VI is just, you absolutely... You could increase the health of the bosses by like 10x and it would be balanced, kind of, ish. I mean, the balance between the characters is still so poor that it's never gonna be balanced because some characters are just dog shit, and Sabin is omega overpowered. But yeah, and Final Fantasy VIII is so busted that like 10 hours into the game you can become so powerful you could kill the final boss. Like like the second you become so strong that you can kill Diabolos, the game is basically over. Because the second you can beat Diabolos, you learn to convert items into things, and then you can convert, at least I think that's how it is. Basically that's when you can get Cura or Curaga, like instantly. And then you can just put Curaga on Squall, and because he has Curaga on, he now has 4,000 HP when everybody else has 300. And because of that, he can have more HP than everyone else, but at the same time, because of how the limit break system works, he can use limit break every single turn. And then you can also get a bunch of Firaga, like instantly, and then you put it on his attack, and then you insta-kill every single boss in the game by just doing limit breaks every single turn, and he has like maximum attack instantly. Last I tried 9, felt like you either die in 2 hits or you one-shot everything, no in between. I don't think I've ever felt like that about the game. But I've always been stuck being like annoyed by Final Fantasy IX because the way they implemented steal is really bad. Like steal is a horrible Final Fantasy mechanic. Because it just makes you stand there and steal. Like okay, a boss has a 2% chance to drop an item for you, and you're like, okay, I want that item, so you're just standing there stealing for like an hour straight. It's like a cool idea in theory, but in practice, it's so trash. It literally like ruins the game. FF8, you just make Squall amazing, never use Irvine. Well, you can. Irvine is good. You can do the same. Like you can choose, you choose one character to make OP, but most of the time Squall is the best one because just using Renzokuken is the easiest way to just kill everything in the game, and not everybody has limit breaks that really like warrant the strategy. Because like doing it on Quistis or something, she has blue magic, doesn't really work. But you kind of can, because she has skills that will like insta kill enemies as well. So you can make her just like insta kill enemies. But you know, like Zell, Irvine, and Squall are like makes the most sense because they all have multi-hit attacks, which is just good, but they're all more annoying to use than Squall, because Irvine, you need to buy ammo, Zell has all these fucking combos that are just annoying and shit anyway, and then you're gonna fail the input or something. So, yeah. But I actually, like, 9, I think 9 is actually makes the most sense as a game, I think. Because every character just, they have their setup. They, like, one of the issues with 6, well, honestly, most of the games, 5, 6, 7, and 8, is that all of the characters are the same, right? Like in 6, all the characters are the same except for their skill. And later on, you just end up getting magic. And most of the skills are really just an attack. It doesn't really do anything interesting. It just does like massive AoE damage or something. Like it's just kind of, they just look cool, right? and then everybody learns magic. In 7, everybody is the same except for the limit break. It just depends on what you put on them with materia. 8 is the same, even more so, I would say. But it's like they have their limit breaks, that's it. But in 9, each character actually has like more of a unique identity where you can't actually equip, like you can't turn Vivi into a real fighter. Like he's always gonna be a black mage. And all of the characters have their own like unique stuff. And like I actually appreciate that when characters are more unique, because when all the characters become like the same character, it's kind of lame, to be honest. But 9 has like really annoying dungeons and stuff, so I don't know. 10 is one of the worst Final Fantasy games. Like I absolutely abhor 10. It's absolutely so bad. I like it so bad. I would almost rather play Final Fantasy 2 over Final Fantasy 10. It's so bad. The only redeeming thing in the entire game are like cutscenes and story related. I don't know when you played 10 last. It's so bad. Because there's so many issues with it. Like the fact that they make a bunch of enemies that you can only kill in like 1 or 2 ways, right? So there are certain enemies that are hard. So you have to hit them with Auron. And Auron is the only one. It's like Auron and what's her face? Lulu. That can do damage to them if the enemy is weak to any element. And then you have enemies that have high evasion. You need to shoot them with Waka, like especially like the air ones. You have to hit them with Waka or Lulu. And then you have enemies that are immune to everything but magic. Like every single enemy in the game is designed to be killed by one of the characters, right? So you have 2 options. Either you play expert mode and you turn every single character, like you pick 3 characters and you turn them into like every character. Because you can do that. You can just make every single character into Auron, and then you just kill everything with those characters. Easy. Or if you play it like standard mode, when all the characters become like their own characters, more or less. Then you have to, every single fight that you go into, for like the entire game, you one-shot every single thing. There's like 3 enemies there, and you always one-shot them for the entire game. And so what you have to do is you have to enter the fight, you have to heal yourself with 3 characters, and then you switch in the other characters that are in backup, because you can switch them in the middle of combat. And then they also all have to act before you kill the enemies. Otherwise, you only get XP on 3 characters. And then all of the other characters fall behind. So then whenever you fight enemies where you need to have like Waka to hit it because it's flying, otherwise it's going to be annoying, then Waka is ass, so then you have to like stand there and like miss it for 10 minutes before you manage to hit it or something. So every single fight takes like 4 times as long for no reason. And on top of that, it has a random encounter rate that is higher than any other game in the entire franchise. Like it's you take like 4 steps in Final Fantasy X and it's another random encounter. Like it's just infinity random encounters constantly. And then on top of that, you have to deal with the sphere grid. And the sphere grid is kind of like, I get why people like it. It's like, it feels like this cool thing. You feel like you have choice. We're like, sure, whatever. You don't really have any choice on it, but it feels like it. You know, it's got this exploration thing to it. And because of that, you don't have levels, so you have no idea how strong you are. And then the second you hit a snag in the game where you're stuck, you don't know how much you need to grind, because you don't have like an indicator like how strong am I? Am I like have I grinded like 2 levels now? Because no, you just gained like some MDef and like 3 accuracy and 200 and like 50 HP. It's really hard, and the game is super easy. And even if you fight like every single encounter, and I will assure you, most people don't, because there are so many encounters, you will start running away. And even if you fight like every single encounter, when you get to Seymour, this like second Seymour, you end up having to grind there because he's so fucking overtuned. And then you just stand there, just running around in a circle, grinding so you can kill fucking Seymour. And you have no idea how much stronger you are. So you run around for like an hour, and then you save, and then you go in and you fight Seymour again, and then you have to fight him until for like his entire first form, and then you have to get to his second form, and then he kills you, and then you have to load, and then you have to go back and like grind an unknown amount of time. It's just rough. I don't know. I hate the game. I love Wakka though. Wakka is great. Wakka is one of the best characters in Final Fantasy. He's so good. But the only other game that's like worse is 15. 15 is so bad. I actually kind of like 13. Like I think 13-2 is horrible. 13 is actually a cool game. Like I think a lot of it is bad. Like the corridors are bad. The gameplay isn't actually like good, but I appreciate it a lot because it's one of the only Final Fantasy games that actually has like a real gameplay cycle. Like you actually play the game. You make choices in it. I mean, you can play it without making choices. Like people I know when they played it, they only switched to like just do it like the mage, whatever it's called, just attacker. And they just did damage and just killed everything that way, but it doesn't make any sense. But the fact that you like switch to sentinel, you switch to like defensive things, you switch to support roles and stuff like that on the fly based on what's happening in combat. You also have to do like juggles and stuff on enemies. I thought it was actually pretty cool because it actually had gameplay. Now, I don't exactly agree with it because I think it's going away from what Final Fantasy is supposed to be and becoming like a hybrid, like a shitty hybrid action game. But so it's like the worst of all worlds. But I actually like it because it actually has like real gameplay. But like 60% of it is bad still. I haven't played 16 yet. I also can't abide 12. Like I want to like 12 because I like the vibes of it. Because it's like, it feels a little bit more grown up. The writing feels more serious. It feels like Final Fantasy Tactics. And while I think Final Fantasy Tactics is horrible, I think the writing is really interesting in it. And really like the way the language and everything they use is really cool. But I hate the tactics gameplay because you're stuck to 4 characters. And the fights take like 40 minutes and then you die and then you have to reload because it's like super hard. But 12 and in 12 you're literally not playing the game. You're literally not doing anything. Even if you wanted to, you can't. Because you can turn it off so that you have like wait mode, so that when you're in menus, it waits and you can do everything manually, which would be fine, but the game is like... The game is balanced in a way where like fire spells and spells in general are designed to be spammed. Like they're super weak. they're supposed to be spammed by the AI. So if you try to play it like that, you'll like blow your brains out. If you could play it normally, I think it could be kind of interesting. But I've never managed to make it through 12. I always get bored with it. But yeah. Final Fantasy is like, if I'm gonna be honest, I don't like Final Fantasy anymore, really. Like I'm completely done with it, more or less. But it's like, I'm not a very nostalgic person, but Final Fantasy is pretty much like my first real game series, in my opinion. Like we had, when we bought a Super Nintendo, we got Zelda first. And after that, we got a few games like B.O.B. or whatever the fuck. But getting Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger was like... That to me was like really kind of my first games that I like really vibed with. I didn't really like the NES. Like we played Nintendo for ages. When I was a kid, like I remember like being literally like 2 or 3 years old playing Nintendo, and I always liked playing games, but I never really liked the Nintendo, and like I always thought it was ugly, and like I didn't really appreciate it much. And like playing Breath of Fire 2, Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, and also Zelda. That was the first time I really felt like yeah, this is actually like badass. 16 was a Devil May Cry clone. It was alright, but kind of empty. Yeah, I've seen it's more of a Devil May Cry clone. But that could be okay. Like, I would rather it be a Devil May Cry clone than it being a hybrid between Devil May Cry and Final Fantasy 1. That's just bad in both ways. Like, just make Devil May Cry if you're gonna do that. All right, let's make some more patterns here. The coolest part about this is that right now I'm like doing detailing for a design that I don't even know if we're gonna go with at all, because I need to talk to Kyle about this and see what he thinks, because this is for him. This isn't my stuff. Not exactly. Oh boy. But I have a pretty decent feeling for what Kyle would potentially go for, I feel like, but I don't know if I'm good enough at this kind of stuff to really get it across. I think we need to have a thicker thing here too on this side. Still good to have ideas? Yeah. Like, Kyle usually has a pretty good idea of what he wants things to look like, but not necessarily like in detail, right? Like, he knows, he has like a vision for it, but he doesn't really have a fully fleshed out idea of what it should actually look like. Sometimes we try a couple of ideas and see what sticks. And sometimes he has a really more clear idea as well. But like this is basically a knight armor, right? And it really, really comes down to the details, whether it looks good or not. Not even attempted art again? Tried to do a frog like 2 weeks ago? Well, yeah. I mean, it's not for everyone. Like, I don't really draw or otherwise. I only draw when I have a reason to. So like if you don't have like a very strong like drive to make a video game and you feel like, oh, I need art for this and I want to make this video game like very like a lot, then, you know, finding time and energy to actually fucking draw is kind of hard. Because it takes a lot out of you. Like, some people just enjoy drawing. I don't hate it, but I don't vibe with it. Like, it doesn't really relax me or anything like that, so... I would only need the most rudimentary sketches, personally, but it still feels over my head. Well, it is over your head. This is also over my head. That's the thing. Like, that's always what I try to tell people. Drawing is... You basically fake it till you make it, to be honest. And it's not just like until you learn art. It's like until you, like, every single art piece, you fake it till you make it. Like, you just keep working until it works. And the only difference between being good and bad is how long it takes you from it being bad to it being good. Because I, like, even ignoring I don't use Aseprite through Steam anymore, but when I did, I clocked about 13,000 hours in Aseprite. And I was using Aseprite before it came out on Steam as well. And since then, I've used it a lot without using it through Steam, so I'm not like clocking it anymore. So I probably have like over 15,000 hours just doing art, just pixel art. And to be frank, I still don't feel like I get it. Like, I just do things and it just feels like ass every single time. And then you just sit there, like, literally just, I hate my fucking life, this is so dog shit. Until it stops, like, looking like shit. And then... and that's just how it is. Because art is all in the details. So until you get like the details right, it looks like shit. And I don't even do a lot of art. So you have to, like, when you think of the others, like Carlis or Indio or Show, they've probably done like 4 times as much as art as I have. I thought before I should just stick with squares and circles to frame up a project, worry about designs later. Yeah, that works. If you can do that. Like, I can't. I'll be honest. I'm really bad at that. I could if I needed to, but I kind of like making the art first and then like programming it in. But it's generally the bad approach. Like, you shouldn't really do that. You should always do the prototyping with just basic shapes and whatnot. What should the inside look like? Just like this? I don't know if I like that, but sure. This doesn't really fit. It would have to be like over here. Like, it would come up here or something. I'm sure I'd run into a ton of problems later by not implementing real sprites and animations. Not really. Like, the only thing you could ever really run into is like collision sizes or something. And that's not even necessarily tied to the sprite size. So I would say, generally speaking, it's not an issue. Where are my buttons? But it's also a lot more boring to make games like that, because you're literally just looking at some dog shit. Okay, so let's see here. And then we switch to shading. We try doing something here. Do we do some shading on the white too? I had an idea to do an incremental clicker that's basically called zombies. You have too many ideas, bro. You gotta pick one. Clicking to shoot or reload guns, timers based on number of bullets in a revolver or magazine, then realized I don't know how to draw a zombie. Well, do you want to know the trick? This is how you draw a zombie. You go out on the internet and then you find references of zombies, and then you use that. See, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm using all of this for random shape ideas, color ideas, clothing ideas, armor plating ideas. And then you try to take inspiration from that without actually taking too much inspiration from that. Because like just drawing a zombie from like scratch without anything, without references, it's like it's like impossible. There's also the halfway point where people focus on one aspect of assets, basically building a pretty good version to use while testing, and then building the final version once things mostly work. Oh yeah, because it can be important to, like, the reality is when you're developing things yourself, the rules are different, right? Than if you're working with like some other people. Because if you're working with other people, they might not actually understand how to like properly understand how okay, so this is something I talk about a lot. And it's that basically people don't understand what a good game is. People don't understand what good gameplay is. People conflate. People don't understand the difference between good gameplay and a good experience. The average person doesn't. Even like above average people, most of the time they don't. Because people really only care about having a good experience. And at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. Like if you had a good experience, you had a good experience. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the gameplay is good. And the second you actually divorce the game from the experience, you remove the art and the music and the sound effects and you distill it down to only the gameplay with like gray boxes in like a white background, like whatever, just the gameplay. Most people can't do that. They can't play that and judge it whether it's a good or a bad game. And that's why, like, if you're working in a team or even if you're that kind of person yourself, you might need to actually have assets so that you can actually judge the game a little bit better. So it's not necessarily as simple as just, you know, just not having assets, right? Because it might be too hard for you. I don't know. Let's see what we can do here. And it's the same thing when you're doing like what I'm doing right now. When you're doing concept art, the reason I'm shading it right now is it's actually partially for myself, but it's also for the others on the team. Like, Kyle might not be able to really get a good feel for this if I don't properly shade it and like make it actually look good. Because if I just show him like an idea, he might get it, but he might not. And if I just show him like a good idea, but it's like executed poorly, he might not go for it, right? And you know, might not be ideal. I just meant people build things like that stick figure you use to demonstrate the LOT combat animations. Yeah, I mean, but that's also part of that. But even that, I'll be honest, like a lot of people don't understand. Like that's not enough for a lot of people to really get a good grasp of what I'm doing there. That's why I'm I'm a little bit pensive actually showing off things that aren't like fully finished, really, because it's like if it looks a little off, that's like the entire vibe that people are gonna get. It's a little, it can be a little rough, and you gotta be a little careful too. Showing off your stuff a little too early. Yeah, because most people are like, they judge things based on the vibes, really. It's just how it is. And it's like, if you say this, people will most of the time they're gonna be like, no, that's not the case. I actually judge it exactly by like the gameplay or whatever. But most people don't. And the second you start actually working with people, you You start realizing that more and more as well. I don't know what I think about these colors. I feel like it doesn't feel like golden enough. How do I make these feel better? Might not be able to fix it with some tricks. But still not really happy with it. I mean, I'm not happy with it at all, if I'm gonna be honest. This is gonna need a lot more testing and stuff, but maybe I can actually post it without someone getting angry at me. Speaking of extra details, lighting is really making some of the features pop. Yeah, It does make a big difference, yeah. We can add some... We can do it to the purple as well. And then we'll see how this works out. I like using the shading tool. It's kind of fun. You create like a color ramp here, and then when you hover it over a color, if you left click, you make it brighter. If you right click, you make it darker. So then you can kind of just use that to sketch it out like this. But I fucked up. I released the mouse button. If you do that, then it'll start like drawing another. You know, like now it's. You know, it starts making the dark that you already placed darker, right? So. This is super basic shading, so I don't know. Because there's no like real texturing or anything going on here, so. Ooh. I was also very concerned about the idea of animating this. No, this is not to be animated. This is just concepting. That's why it's so large. This is not going to be animated. If this were to be like in the game, it would be I think exactly half as big. No, it would be maybe a third as big. Something like that. This is not to be animated at all. But yeah, I think we'll stop there for today. I just want to fix this here, because I don't like that it's so straight. I would like this to be more like rounded or something. Alright. Well. We'll continue tomorrow, probably, unless I'm way too fucking tired. But we should continue tomorrow. Until then. Thanks for hanging. Have a good night. Bye-bye.